Well, hello there. My name is Christopher Scott, and I serve as a small groups pastor of a local church. And in this video, I want to give you a brief introduction to the minor prophet book, Habakkuk, right? This is a 3-chapter book, but it's a gem of some good information and background for you and some things you can learn and apply to our lives as Christians. And that is relevant also to the New Testament and is quoted often in the New Testament. So before we do that, I want to give you a brief introduction to the background of the historical prophets. A little later in the video, I'll talk about the author of Habakkuk, the audience he was writing to, the date it was written, an outline, key verse, key theme, those basic things. But before I do that, I want to give you a historical background to the minor prophets that will help you make sense of what's going on where and who lives here and there, and will help to kind of just give you a little framework and context to put Habakkuk in, right? So the nation of Israel at one time was prosperous and strong under King David, right? It was called the nation of Israel. The United Kingdom was strong and prosperous. And then David died and his son Solomon took over. And Solomon kept the nation of Israel prosperous and strong. And then Solomon died and his son Rehoboam became king. And I got a video up there that will detail what Rehoboam did and the things he did wrong. But basically he splits the nation of Israel into two. In 931 BC, Rehoboam makes some bad decisions and the United Kingdom of Israel becomes the divided kingdom of Israel in the north and Judah in the south, okay? And Israel in the north consisted of 10 tribes that lived there. Their capital city was Samaria. So Israel's in the north, their capital city was Samaria. And then Judah was in the south. Their capital city was Jerusalem, and they consisted of just 2 tribes, Judah and Benjamin, right? So you got Israel in the north, Judah in the south. That happens in 931 BC. And as time progressed, there was some contemporary nations that are trying to conquer Israel in the north and Judah in the south. And one of those nations was the nation of Assyria. They come to Israel in the north in 722 BC and they take over Israel, they conquer Israel, they take Samaria, they level the ground, and they take the people back to Assyria. So Israel is conquered in 722 BC, and the people are taken all back to Assyria. Then a little time after that, the nation of Babylon comes on the scene, and the Babylonians conquer the nation of Assyria. They take them over. And then a little later after that, the Babylonians come to Judah in the south. In 605 BC, they come and they conquer them. 597 BC, they come and conquer them. But the important date is 586 BC, when the Babylonians come to Judah for the third and final time, and they just level the ground. They decimate the city, they take down the walls, the gates, the temple, and they take all the people back to Babylon. That happens in 586 BC. Judah in the south is conquered by the Babylonians. But a little later, the Persians conquer the Babylonians, and the Persians have this king named Cyrus who gives a decree that allows for the Jews, the people who had lived in Judah at one time, to return back to their land to restore order. And that happens for them in 538 BC under a guy named Zerubbabel, takes people from Persia back to Judah in the south to restore order there. You can read about that in Ezra chapters 1 through 6. So that's Zerubbabel, and 538 BC takes some people back to Judah to restore order there in Jerusalem. And then in 458 BC, a guy named Ezra comes back too, and he brings some more people. You can read about that in Ezra chapters 7 through 10. And then a little later, a guy named Nehemiah in 444 BC takes some more people back to Judah to restore order. So that gives you a little historical context for what's going on there. I got it all written down there in the notes. You can copy it, print it out, whatever you might do, stick it in your Bible. But it's a helpful timeline for things going on. And the minor prophets, they're all intermixed and mingled into those dates, right? So that's why I give it to you. So let's talk about Habakkuk, okay? Habakkuk is a great book to study, right? Habakkuk is a guy that knew the Old Testament well, right? He quotes the Old Testament. He seems to know it well. We don't really know much about Habakkuk, except we know his name, and we know that he was a prophet, right? And we know that he was a prophet from Habakkuk 1:1 and 3:1, both say that he was a prophet. So we know his name and his profession, but we don't know much else. That's the author of the book of Habakkuk. The audience he was writing to likely was the nation of Judah before the Babylonians were coming to conquer them. Like I said, the first wave of Babylonians came in 605 BC, which leads me into the date of the book of Habakkuk. It likely was written 606 BC to 604 BC, somewhere in there, right before the Babylonians start coming to Judah, right? And I want to give you an outline. So that's an outline of the book. I'm taking this from Warren Wiersbe's excellent commentary, Be Amazed, Restoring an Attitude of Wonder and Worship, where he outlines each chapter with a title. Chapter 1, The Prophet Wandering and Worrying. Habakkuk is worrying about his nation and his people of what might happen. Chapter 2, The Prophet Watching and Waiting. He knows something's going to happen. Chapter 3, The Prophet Worshiping and Witnessing. He's trying to share God and get people to help, and he's trying to get God's help for them to turn back to God. Okay, so that's an outline. A key verse of the book is Habakkuk 2:4, which is a verse you're probably familiar with, even if you aren't aware of where it's located in the Bible. Key verse, according to Warren Wiersbe, is Habakkuk 2:4. Says, "Look at the proud, they trust in themselves, and their lives are crooked. But the righteous will live by their faithfulness to God." Okay? The righteous will live by their faithfulness to God, right? Or another translation say, the righteous live by faith, right? And that's the key theme of the book. The just shall live by faith. The just shall live by faith. It's not through deeds or actions or keeping the law. It's our faith in God that counts us as righteous, right? So this key verse, Habakkuk 2:4, is quoted 3 times in the New Testament. Galatians 3:11, it's quoted in Romans 1:17, and quoted in Hebrews 10:38 as statements by Paul, an author of Hebrews, saying, we live by faith, right? The just shall live by faith, okay? I really like this quote from Ron Blue in the Bible Knowledge commentary on Habakkuk. It says, Habakkuk's book begins with an interrogation of God, but ends as an intercession to God. Worry is transformed into worship. Fear turns to faith. Terror becomes trust. Hang-ups are resolved with hope. Anguish melts into adoration. So this has been a brief introduction to the book of Habakkuk, just to kind of get you started and get you going. If you want to study the book of Habakkuk more, I got some links to some books down there in the description. They're affiliate links to Amazon, so if you do purchase anything from Amazon, I do get a commission, just to let you know. So one is the Bible Knowledge Commentary that I referenced, the Old Testament version. It's a great resource. I don't have one here to show you because I have a digital copy, but it's a great resource for introductions and a commentary on the Old Testament. Another book I have a link to is the Introduction to the Old Testament Prophetic Books by C. Hassel Bullock. It's a great resource for dates of the books and the audiences, and goes in depth and has some good footnotes and helps for you. And then another commentary I recommend is the Warren Wiersbe Be Amazed commentary on the Minor Prophets. It's a great one. And then he has a study guide right here. So I hope that this has been a helpful video for you. If you have any questions about Habakkuk, feel free to leave a comment down there. I'd love to talk with you more about this fantastic book. If you found this video helpful, I encourage you to subscribe up there. You can get updates on future videos. If you want to learn to use the Warren Wiersbe Bible Study Guide for the Minor Prophets, I got a video up there about how to do that. I'm taking a men's group, working with a men's group right now that's doing this. If you want to get some more brief introductions to books of the Bible, I got some of those over there. And then I have some facilitator tips if you facilitate a small group over there. Thanks for watching, and I hope to catch you again soon in another video.